It's August 11th, 2025, Monday, and this is Lindsay again. And I just wanted to there are some other things I wanted to speak about for my documentation purposes. So part of when you're being targeted or smear campaigned by the government or whoever, these people that are all joining together to participate in this kind of stuff, you'll know that the big thing is that they hack into your social media, obviously, and I can play peekaboo. Yeah, I don't really. Sometimes I just want to, whatever. So the people who are targeting you, they always use social media to try to find out everything about you, and you'll notice that when you've been involved with somebody who's a narcissistic type person, who's very controlling and demanding and secretive, manipulative, and all those things to describe them, they use social media to weaponize it against you at a later time. You'll notice that at some point in the relationship or whatever situation, shit, or set up, right? Because usually these things are set up. Somebody sent them to fuck with you, like in my case. So what they'll do is they'll get your social media. They'll want to be friends with you on social media almost immediately. And then what they'll do is they'll friend you on social media, so that the reason they do that is because they want you to see that who you're friends with. They want you to see all that so that they can try to triangulate you with other people. Because soon thereafter, you'll find that about a month on down the line, or a couple months after they are so eager to be your friend on social media, they'll hunt you down on Facebook, on Instagram, or whatever, to try to find you, and then they'll want to be your friend. And then all of a sudden, you'll notice that you're no longer on their friend. They delete you or block you on social media, Facebook, whatever. It's like you're thinking, why'd they do that? Well, the reason now, because I have experience with these people and their methods and their tactics, the reason they do that is because that's already part of that right there. When they do that, that's already the devaluation phase and the discard. They're already, from the minute. This is hard for people to grasp, because I didn't understand this very well myself, because I have been involved with narcissists, but by far the individual who I was involved with for the past couple years or whatever was the most narcissistic person I have ever met in my life, besides my somebody I was once married to, I guess, who was abusive, and then my own family members. But I tell you, you'll be shocked at the things that these people do to gaslight you and mess with you and lead you on and try to hurt you and sabotage your life. Or it's very odd, and you're in a lot of disbelief about it. You're like, why would they do that? And you keep questioning yourself, what did I do, or why would they do that? Why do they do these things? Because, like I said, they already have it with narcissistic people. I don't care if it's a job that you have, if it's a family relationship, and once you discover that these people are who they are, that they're narcissistic, psychopath type people, or they have those traits, and when they know that you know, that's when they start the abusive stuff. That's when the cycle of abuse really gets turned up, and that's when they start to do the gaslighting and the smear campaign. The smear campaign will already be well on its way within a couple months of that relationship, or of you knowing that person, because they already have it. They already know that it's going to, you already know as well as they do that it's going to be a disaster, that it's going to end. These relationships, and you're going to notice that a lot of people, coaches or whatever, who talk about narcissistic abuse, they always, mostly all of them, emphasize how there's an expiration date. There's always an expiration date with narcissistic relationships. They don't maintain steady long-term relationships because they're not capable of doing it, because of their dishonesty, the fact that they can't remain loyal or monogamous, and the fact that they are liars and cheaters and players. They don't know how to maintain stability, and they're looking for somebody who they can fuck with. And usually narcissistic men are psychopathic men who may also be borderline or bipolar, according to the DSM, if they've been diagnosed or not. They also are, they're very manipulative, but they seek out women or partners or whatever who are either trauma-based, MK Ultra trauma, mind control type survivors of severe trauma, like borderline, usually borderline women. And they love to diagnose women as either histrionic or borderline if you are somebody who has a bit of a past that's a little bit questionable, or that you ever dabbled in something that was, unconventional, that you're not, so therefore you're gonna most likely be labeled as histrionic or borderline personality, or bipolar if you're a female, usually. And so narcissistic men are men who are psychopaths or sociopaths. Psychopath is when they're born that way, right? Their psychopaths exist, and usually that's as a result of their birth being an unwanted child, a curse of the bastard type. Look at the curse of the bastard, because these kids are unwanted from the day they were born. They were not planned. The mother or father didn't want them, and they usually don't know their father. They don't know who the father is, and so unfortunately, there's a lot of kids out there like that. And usually these kids are just not wanted. You'll notice that they don't, there's an absentee parent, and the kids usually don't, as they get older, they don't even want to know their biological father or mother, if it's in the case of the mother who abandoned them or whatever the situation is. But usually, so a lot of the times and this is just a fact, this is something that's been researched, there's documentation out on that you can look up. But these individuals, a lot of times, since they are unplanned and unwanted births out of situations that were either scandalous or controversial or adultery, whatever, they don't have the kind of, when a child is in the womb of the mother, and I don't know because I've never had a child. I don't know what it's like to carry a child. I've had an abortion, and I'm not ashamed to admit that, but go ahead and hate me for that. But yes, I have had an abortion years ago, long time ago, for an accidental pregnancy. But yeah, so they shame you. There's a lot of hate towards women who've had abortions, which is horrible. You shouldn't be mean to women if they've had an abortion. But anyway, that a child, from what I've heard and from what I've read about, because of my own curiosity, not being that I'm a mother, because I'm not a mother, and I don't even want kids. But when a child is not tended for in the womb properly by the mother, then that child, there's already unlove from the very beginning, before the child is conceived, because the mother doesn't want the child, yet she's carrying the child, and the child she doesn't want the child. So therefore, there's like they already know this. The kid already knows that somehow. The infant, before it's born, already knows. There's like some kind of they already feel that. And by the time the child is born, or the baby, it's just unwanted. The mother, you'll notice that the mother just doesn't care. She's irresponsible sometimes, or she might just exhibit behaviors that are just abnormal for a mother, that a mother wouldn't be doing towards her newborn child, or she'll give it up for adoption, right? Or some, you'll find that a lot of these children are human trafficked, they're killed for organ harvesting, or they're kidnapped, weird stuff sometimes with these children. Other times they're adopted into families where they're raised by a good family, but nonetheless they're still an adopted child. And so that stigma is going to carry with them throughout life. But, so there's a lot of stereotypes and stigmas towards children who are adopted, children who are born from adultery or wedlock, things like that, obviously. But so it's never a good situation. Either way you look at it, that's always gonna be a burden that the child is gonna have to carry throughout their life, whether they like it or not. Whether they're accepted or not, which they have to learn to accept it. If they're even told the truth, which most of the time these kids are lied to or there's a lot of secrets. But nonetheless, that's what they have to deal with. That's a burden, an unwanted burden that they have to carry. And that right there is a trauma. That creates a trauma at a young age for these kids or babies, or as they get older. The trauma and the wound of being an unwanted child in the womb of the mother carries throughout the life of that individual, throughout their, you'll know these kids usually have, in school, they're usually lone. Sometimes they're just a little bit different sometimes, and they're diagnosed as being either antisocial or autistic. Sometimes they're autistic, or they're just they're just sometimes different. And that's usually because they didn't get the proper care or love or whatever from their own mother or their parents, their caretakers, which are the parents, are supposed to be your parents or whoever raised you. They didn't get enough of that. They were treated, neglected, or mistreated or abused, maybe physically, sexually, psychologically, whatever. And this is really a shameful thing, but it's very common. And of course, people keep these secrets. They try to keep these secrets in their family, but a lot of times those secrets, taboos, will emerge at times in that child's life as they get older that are out, that all of a sudden they emerge, or something, little tidbits of the truth will start to manifest in ways that are unexpected or unplanned, in which that individual is not properly prepared. And it could be during, a probate, when somebody dies and then you find out things that you didn't know or that you suspected, but all of a sudden the truth is revealed, or whatever situation, some things will all of a sudden manifest that you probably had some kind of an inkling about or suspicion about, but then the truth will reveal itself. And the truth, what's so weird about these situations is that because with narcissistic people, if you have a narcissistic parent or whatever, because they're such cowards, they don't know how to be direct with you about the truth. So what they do is these people contract others. They'll pay and contract people to fuck with you if there's money involved or whatever. And then so you'll get little bits and pieces of information sent to you either telepathically, usually telepathically through flying monkey types. Narcissistic people use flying monkey gang stalkers to do the bidding of what they don't want to tell you, because they're too much of a coward to admit that they did something bad or wrong or sinful, because they don't want to tarnish their reputation or image or status. And that's how that works. So anyway, I'm going on another tangent, and I could talk and talk and talk about this kind of stuff all day and all night sometimes, but So behavior patterns, back to behavior patterns with narcissists, once ever, like back to the whole thing with Facebook or whatever. So they'll defriend you, right? And then the relationship's over. They discard you, or you discard them. Hopefully you discarded them when you figure out who they are. You left them, and then they can't accept that because they have to be the one to do that. But nonetheless, the smear campaign is in full effect. They're angry. You rejected them, or you called them out for something. You embarrassed them, you humiliated them, you figured out who they are, or fragile, that you bruise their ego, because it's all about ego and control with them, and status and image. So something, you disrupted the pattern, you disrupted their game plan with you. You did something that was uncalled for according to their playbook. And so now that that's happened, they assume that, oh, this person is gonna, they wish harm on you. They don't want you to, if you try to move on, they're not gonna let you move on. They want to still be. What's so weird that I find about these people is they won't let go. They don't want to let go of their past relationships. They try to hold on, even if that relationship was bad and ended badly or whatever. These narcissistic people have attachment issues. The men, a lot of times, if they have daddy issues or mommy issues, and they're really attached to their mother, and their mother is a main figure in their life, and they're very codependent on their mother, well, they're going to be very much attached to whoever it is that they're with as their partner, especially, their intimate partner. They're going to be very attached to you like you're their mommy. You're supposed to be their mom. You're their other mother. And if you refuse to play the role of what you're expected to be, then they punish you. Then the punishing, either they'll withhold intimacy, they'll embarrass you, they'll smear campaign you, they'll try to body shame you, restrict your, control what you, all kinds of little things that they do to punish you, albeit subtle sometimes, but it's very obvious to you, the victim of their coercive abuse or sexual abuse, or they'll do things that are very humiliating, that are designed to really humiliate you and insult you, and they're hoping that you're going to keep your mouth shut about it. And then they'll also blackmail you. They'll threaten you, but they'll do it through other people. They communicate what they want to tell you, but they're afraid to do it verbatim to you, so they use flying monkeys to say or do things to you that they can't do themselves, that they are too afraid to say to you. They'll just contract out these fucking flying monkey people, especially if you're dealing with some narcissistic psychopath who's involved with the government or some kind of high position, who has status or whatever leverage in the community, and they're narcissistic control freaks, which all of them are. They're gonna hack into your social media again. They're gonna keep tabs on you through other people, so that they want to know what you're doing, so that they can still fuck with you and fuck up your life and try to sabotage anything that you have going on for you or that you want to do, because they still feel that even if it's ended, that you're still a tentacle of their hydra, that you're still a part of that fucked up, that you're an extension of them, in other words. And you're not. You're an individual, you're a sovereign, you're autonomous, but they still seem to think in their petty fucking mind, pardon the language, that you are an extension of them, that you are not allowed to have an independent thought. You're not allowed to make your own decisions about what you want to do, as far as like who you want to date, if you want to date, if you want to be in a, they still, even though they're with other people, even though they have multiple women or men or whatever relationships, fake, because these are usually fake, superficial relationships, they still want to hang on to you and they still don't want you. You're supposed to, in other words, there's some kind of a covenant or invisible contract in which you are still supposed to be loyal to these people when they're out doing whatever the fuck they want with whoever they want, whenever they want. And they lie about everything to you. They fucking lie about shit. And you'll ask them questions, and they'll start weaving a fucking story right there in front of you. You'll ask them a question about something, about their job, and all of a sudden they'll start coming up with some fucking stupid story that's clearly a fucking lie, that's meant to fucking gaslight you and fuck with your head, and so that you second guess your own goddamn mind. And that's called gaslighting. That's coercive abuse. That's called manipulative psychological abuse. And they do this shit all the time, especially when they come back to fucking hoover you, and after a month or a few weeks when they disappear and you've blocked them and they fucking show up, and maybe you're doing well. You found somebody to talk to and you're getting some help perhaps, or something, some clarity that you needed in your life about something. They come back, all of a sudden, they'll fucking show back up again into your life, uninvited, out of the blue, just randomly, acting like nothing ever happened. No apologies, nothing. Just showing up unannounced, trying to barge into your life again, and basically maneuvering their nasty selves back into your world whenever you're healed or healing and doing just fine. You don't need them. Don't let these people make you think that you need them when you don't. They need you. It's the other way around, because they're not going to admit that, but they will. They'll say things like, I need you. They'll say it whenever they're around you, and they come back to fucking hoover you, even though they've been screwing other people or whatever, doing whatever the fuck it is these people do. I don't even know. But whenever they've been with other people, and they've only been with you in maybe an intimate way, but that's a lie. Don't ever believe that, because whenever you're around them again, they'll be exhibiting the energy or the characteristics of whoever it is that they were with, because that's called a soul tie. What they fail to understand, and that they mock you about, and when you try to explain this kind of thing to them, because they lack spirituality and depth, they're in denial about this because they think they're too above all that shit, that they're invincible. They don't understand that there's a soul tie connection with people, especially when you're intimate like that. That if you don't get rid of that soul tie, especially with intimacy, because they are very promiscuous. These people are very, very perverted and promiscuous. Don't ever just think that you're the only one. If you're dealing with a psychopath narcissist who's a sex addict, for example, or a control freak, or some kind of person who thinks he's all that, especially men who brag about their penis, pardon my being so blunt, but these men, if they're tall, right, they think that they're better than you. If they're 6 foot over 6 feet, if they have a big penis, they're better than you, or they're better than everybody. And they try to use that as a weapon to either control women or control whoever they're with, even if it's a man or whatever. They use these sexual things as a weapon to try to weaponize against you and then shame you. And it's very disgusting, because they don't even realize that what they do know what they're doing, but they don't seem to realize that what they do is very toxic and disgusting. And they don't show real intimacy. They don't show, most of them, they don't show, it's all fake. It's a fake show with these people. I would suggest that if you see that that's what the kind of person you're with, and it's all about show, and it's all about image, and you're intimate with these people, you really, really should be really careful and make them insist that they get some kind of an STD test, and insist that they disclose who the last person was that they were with, or when they were last involved with somebody in an intimate way, because these people carry things that they want to give to you, and they will happily do it. They want to do that. They want to make you sick. If they have toxicity, they have demons, but some of these demons are demons that will make you sick, physically sick. So you have to watch yourself with these people, and watch your body, guard yourself.